listening to the Straight to Video podcast with Rob Lane.
What's up? Hope you're well, and thanks for listening to my podcast Straight to Video. I'm fresh off tour with Grand Theft Audio after 2 weeks across the UK with CJ Wilder and Scott Sorry. So I want to send a shout out to everyone who came to a show and really made it special for all involved. Now, I think this was the first time I've had a birthday on tour too, so if you sent a message, I really appreciate it. Every show on the run was great in some way, and the combination of all three bands worked so well, we got our fingers crossed it's something that we can do again in the future. So if you missed it, let's hope that can happen. Also, off the back of this tour, I hope to bring you a podcast with Scott Sorry, as he's an awesome dude with an exceptional story, which I think will make for a great episode, so watch this space. But on today's episode, I had a really lovely chat with Dante Gizzi of the band Gun. Many of you will be familiar with the band if you're a hard rock fan, particularly here in the UK, with hits such as Steal Your Fire and their chart-smashing cover of Cameo's Word Up. Dante originally began as the band's bass player, but since 2010 has fronted the band as lead singer. Now his journey alone is a great story, landing the slot in his brother Jules' already signed band at just 16 years old. Gun are now into their third decade and set to release the new album, The Calton Songs, on October the 14th, which features acoustic reworkings of classic Gun songs along with a brand new track, Blood Brothers, which continues the band's style of melodic hook-driven rock and roll anthems, or laney fodder as I personally like to call it. Dante was super friendly during our chat and shared some great stories of growing up, the influence of his elder siblings, early gigs and the success of Gun, which I know you're gonna enjoy. If you want to keep up to date on the band as they get set to release the new album and all upcoming live shows, you can find everything over at gunofficial.co.uk. But right now, enjoy my straight to video chat with Dante Gizzi. How's things? You all right?
Yeah. All good, buddy.
Sweet. There's lots happening in the world of Gun right now, lots of gigs, and they released the new album, Calton Songs. I believe the new record's set to be like a real celebration of the band with some reworked Gun classics, but you released the brilliant single, Backstreet Brothers, earlier this year. That song for me has everything I've loved from Gun over the years. Just a great pop rock, anthemic vibe to it.
The truth be told, Rob, it was difficult for us during lockdown, with trying to be creative and stuff like that. For Jules and I, it was just like our mindset was kind of not working on new material and working on new songs because we couldn't see an end to what was happening. You remember the time, we got allowed to party for a couple of months and then locked back down again. And it was like, God, I didn't want to come out with new material that you couldn't really back it up with performing and stuff like that, getting out there and just talking to people and doing radio stations and stuff like that. So for us, it just felt a wee bit difficult to do it. We just weren't in the right mindset. And then we did a reworking of Better Days, and it eventually kind of got sort of a bit of recognition. There's an amazing charity here, like music charity called Nordorf Robbins, that we were involved with. And we kind of put the song to them and they loved the song and they did a big charity event online, like a streaming thing. And then Jules and I said, why don't we just kind of go back to the old songs and have a wee mess about with them? And obviously with me, it was always going to be a bit tough. People just obviously think of the original singer and stuff like that. You kind of get tested in that way. And I was like, I was a wee bit reluctant because I'm just quite happy to do new material. But at that point, I wasn't feeling up to doing the new material. And then I thought, well, do you know what? I've probably been in the band in a much longer period than what Mark has been in. And I thought, do you know what? I should just go for it. And I had a really good time recording these songs, going back to them. One of the things I didn't want to do was to kind of make them sound like the old record. I wanted to make them just a bit more different for us. We wanted to put a different feel to it. And it made that approach for me that wee bit easier to process, you know? We've just released kind of Higher Ground there, and I was really chuffed with the vocal in that. And it's so lovely to see all the sort of comments with fans saying, this is absolutely incredible. You sing this unbelievable. And I'm like, well, I did spend a lot of time over it, and I had fun doing it and enjoyed it. You know, there was no pressure on getting any material out at that point. I was just like, you know what, let's just keep going. And it was good fun. It was really good fun to do it. So, yeah, and Backstreet Brothers came along with, you know, it was one of the songs that kind of broke through. We had this collection of songs, all half ideas and stuff like that. And that was the one that kind of stuck out for us. And we thought, you know what, let's add a new song onto this acoustic album. And we thought that would be perfect. And we really do love that song. Jules and I play it, and we've been doing acoustic shows recently, and it goes down a storm.
It's very instant. First time I heard it, I was like, damn, this is right up my street, this one. It's the whole concept of, I love the song's lyrics and tied with the great video as well, with all the archive footage. That's great. Yeah. Where was all those old shots found? I'm presuming they're from Glasgow, where you grew up.
Yeah, all that sort of archive footage is, we wanted it to be like that. We wanted it to be like, well, right now when I am here, this moment in time, I'm in the Calton, and in this room here, it's like a bedroom, but it's the studio that I've got set up. All of the songs from 1989 were written here with Jules and I and stuff like that, and Mark coming over and stuff. Yeah, all of the songs were written here. So, yeah, the pictures are obviously trying to find. There is a fantastic picture that I wish I could find, and it really bugs the shit out of me. There's one of Jules and I, and Jules is like 5'9". I'm just like this wee kid, and I'm standing next to him. And there's a picture. I wish I could find that. That would have been ideal for Backstreet Brothers.
It'll turn up in a box somewhere in about 20 years' time.
Yeah, you know, during that whole pandemic thing, you just start thinking about, you know, your memories and stuff like that, because there's damn all else to do, you know, and just think about the past and what it was like, you know, playing in the streets when you were kids, you know. It was all good fun. So I think that kind of related to the songs and to the album.
It reminds me of the old Pearl and Dean cinema graphics in the video as well. Probably takes me back to like early cinema trips. Where did you all go growing up? Because you're quite a big family, so I would imagine if you did that, it would have been something of an event, everybody going out together.
Oh, God. We used to, there was this, it was called the Alexandra Parade, and it's just up the road here. It's no longer there anymore. I think they've kept the front of it.
Is it a Wetherspoons?
No. Do you know what? It could be like a social club now. I don't know, but they kept the front of it because it was a listed building. We used to call it the flea pit because it was a mess. But my mum used to take us to the cinema, and now I'm going back, and we used to go to the Saturday matinees, me and my brother. Oh, and that was the other thing. My uncle used to work in there as well. He was the projectionist. He used to get us just free tickets. So we used to go to the matinees. And before the movie would actually start, because it was all kids and stuff, and the music would be playing, there would be like a sort of wee stage in front of the screen. So everybody would get up and dance and start dancing.
Just chaos.
Aye, it was just mental. One of my earliest memories was King Kong, watching King Kong, the old black and white one, and seeing that on the big screen was fantastic for me. But one of my favourites was Grease. I saw Grease in the cinema, and the other one was Jaws. I think Grease, I watched it, and my mum's like, let's go. And then there was another show after it. I'm like, no, I want to stay. How do I watch it again? No, you can't. She had to try and force me. I was crying and everything. I wanted to stay and watch Grease again. But great memories of the cinema.
You grew up the youngest of 4 siblings, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's right, aye.
What kind of lessons or influence did you take from everyone who's older? Do you remember?
Hopefully nothing. No, I suppose I kind of looked up. Obviously, Jules being a guitarist, being in a band and stuff like that, and probably actually started from an earlier age. you know, he was kind of into art at school and stuff like that. And I used to see some of the stuff that he used to paint or draw. There was the famous one, was it the Jesus Christ on the cross, and it was the Salvador Dali one, and he kind of did a drawing of it, and it looked amazing. I was like, God, that's really, really cool. He did an amazing one of Pele as well, like stencil pen and stuff like that. It was unbelievable, and that kind of got me right into wanting to do art at school. Obviously, I took it that wee bit further. He ended up leaving it fourth year, but I ended up sitting and doing my higher art and got like an E in my higher art. I was just so into it. And that probably stemmed into the whole music thing, because as he will profess to say every fucking time, he will say, you know, oh, I remember when you were a kid and you used to sit outside my door and you listen to me playing guitar, working in songs, and I'd open the door and then you'd run away, you know, all dead shy. And I suppose that kind of was an influence on me, you know, and a good influence.
What is the age difference?
Jules is, I will not say ages, but I think 9 years. And then I've got a brother who's a couple of years older than me, and sister Carmen, who's a wee bit younger than Jules. So Jules and Carmen are very close. And me and my other brother, Mario, we're kind of close because we always obviously went to school together and stuff like that. He's only a couple of years older.
Right. So Jules starts playing in bands and stuff. Did you go to any of those early gigs?
Yes, I did. My mum took me a couple of times, and I got chucked out once because I think I was 14 at the time. It was a place called Shadows in Glasgow, and I was so looking forward to it as well. And you know, I'll never forget it. And I went there all excited, and it was just, you know, the support band had been on, and then they were about to come on. And I was dying because I knew a few of the songs because he played a couple of the demos and cassette to me. And then the owner came over to my mum and was like, look, I don't think your son can stay here. I know he's underage, but we just don't want to take the chance, you know. And my mum was like absolutely gutted. So what my mum did was, there you go. There's like 50 pence. Go and get yourself a bus home, okay? You'll be all right.
She left you?
Oh, God, I was gutted.
So your mum stayed at the gig and sent you home with your bus fare?
100%, yeah, Rob.
It's like Jim Bowen from Bullseye. Here's your BFH, bus fare home.
I know. Just when they were about to come on stage as well.
Oh, man.
There was a couple of other occasions that I did, but then, you know, I did actually, there was a girl in the audience, and I was 16 at the time, and she was 16, this other girl, and we watched a wee bit of them, and then they ended up copping off with this girl. So it actually turned out to be Charlene Spiteri's sister. Corey, her name is. She wouldn't mind me talking about it, but it was quite funny because we never actually watched the gig. We just ended up going behind the club outside, and we just snogged. And then Jules would come out after the gig. He was like, "Did you enjoy that?" No, it was good. It was really good.
Not talking about the gig, but I enjoyed it.
Good times.
But what about other gigs though? Because you grew up right near the Barrowlands. Was that one of the venues where you saw your first, let's call them, big bands?
I was actually probably 16 or maybe, 16 or 17 when I actually played the Barrowlands.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was with, do you remember Rochford?
Yeah, Cuddly Toy.
Cuddly Toy, yeah. So what happened was we were signed at that point, but we never had any, I don't think we had any material out. We just had sort of demos and stuff like that. We were still working on Taking on the World album. And then we get a call from the label and saying, look, would the guys like to fill in at the Barrowlands because Rochford's just been asked to do Top of the Pops, so he won't be able to make it up in time. They were performing at the Barrowlands and they had their own show, and so they were going to be a wee bit later. So there's any chance there's anybody that could fill the slot for 30 minutes? And we were like, aye, 100%. And we did it. We did it that night. I mean, we went doing okay because obviously we were Scottish. The other bands were English. And it was like, oh, yeah, never heard this band before, Gun, you know, Scottish band, you know, and it was kind of crossover. The songs crossed over quite well, you know. And
because I was going to say, which sort of early bands you gravitated to as a fan? Because obviously later down the line, you'd have the success with Gun, and who were regularly associated with hard rock. But like so many other bands from Glasgow, such as Texas, Simple Minds, you kind of occupy this cool and niche space, in my opinion. It's part pop, part rock, but it's very much its own thing. It's just focused on great guitar-based songs. Was that music you always enjoyed?
Yeah, I think that was one of the good things that made Gun.
Yeah.
Because we had always, I mean, it was obviously a bit of an influence from our management, and they knew they were a rock band, you know, an out-and-out rock band. So we was listening to AC/DC, Zeppelin, sort of Sabbath. We get that. But the management was like, why don't you start listening to different things? Because it can influence your songwriting. You know, listen to NXS, listen to Bowie and stuff like that, The Clash, all this sort of stuff. That was kind of crossover. Queen, you know, Queen's a very crossover band, you know.
That's quite a smart move from a record label. A lot of time a record label will want to mould you to sound just like somebody else, but they kind of had a bit of foresight.
Yeah, I think they maybe knew that the songwriting was there. It was just honing those skills to get that right. And even listening to, you know, Madonna, Prince, even the current stuff at the time, you know, and I think that made us stand out from the rest of what was happening at that time, Rob, which I was quite happy to do. I want to be different. I want to have an album that doesn't sound like, I want every song to be different. That's an important thing. But I know that bands do think, right, I'm not going to go down that road and record this song because it's either too poppy or the melody's too sweet or the guitars are too light or whatever. You can adapt these songs, you know, and I kind of like that. I don't like listening to an album and it's full on. It's just one level. I like it to be a bit up and down, a bit like a movie.
Do you think it's possible to do albums like that these days with the way that music's consumed?
Yeah, 100%. Because we have the streaming services now that kids these days will only listen to like 30 seconds, 40 seconds of a song now. You know, never mind listening to a full album. So it's trying to get the attention span. So yeah, I think more than ever, it's good to be as diverse in your songwriting because I think it's important for the listener. Like, oh, I'll skip the next song. Oh, that song sounds the same. Or I'll skip to that. Oh, that sounds the same. I'll just leave it. You want to be a bit different and try and catch them with, you know, a wee moment.
Your introduction to performing with Jules, I think it's really unique. How was it for you? Because you wasn't in the initial lineup. I think the band was called Blind Alley originally before they went on to Begun.
That's right. See, when you just said Blind Alley there, something's just sprung to mind.
Is it broadcastable?
Yeah, no, 100% it is, 100%. Jules had went to the Apollo to see Thin Lizzy, and he went with Carmen, my sister. Well, she was there with her pals, and he was there with his pals. So after the gig, they saw the tour bus, and then Jules is like, oh, is there any chance you could get this signed for me? And there was an old picture of him and Phil Lynott from a previous gig. Cam's like, oh, why don't you just come up? No, I'm too shy. He goes, get it signed to Blind Alley. Now, Alley was spelled Allez.
Right.
For some bizarre reason, Alley, Blind Alley. She came back off the bus. She goes, look, I've got it signed for you. To Blind Alec. Jules is like, who the fuck is Blind Alec? Who's a Blind Alec? I think he said Blind Alec. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was too taken aback by him. And I was like, oh, God, it was so funny.
Do you know if he's still got that photo?
Oh, I think he has somewhere. It'll be in this house, actually, Rob. It'll be upstairs in the loft somewhere.
Super, like amended it with a Sharpie somewhere.
Oh, it's funny. Oh, it's a funny story.
How was it for you from the outside, seeing Jules taking on the role in this band, getting momentum and stuff like that? Was you like thinking, oh, I'd like a part of that? Could you ever see yourself becoming part of it?
This is one of the stories we tell on the acoustic tour, and he makes a point of it, and he's like, oh, he was so shy, he didn't want to do it. See, what happened, I got really, really fortunate. The bass player at the time, Cammy, he was a brilliant bass player, brilliant guy. As soon as the band did all the hard work, you know, as soon as the band got signed to A&M Records, he was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I have asked him, I goes, why did you just chuck it? I goes, I just didn't feel it. I just didn't want to do it anymore. And I was like, that's a bit odd. So that gave me the opportunity. So what happened was our management team at the time approached Jules. Do you have any other family members that they might be up for playing guitar or anything? Jules was like, I've just got a daft wee brother. He's 16 and he's always sitting at my door and he's listening to me playing guitars. He's like, does he play? Jules goes, he plays a wee bit. Because I was playing acoustic guitar. And then I'll never forget it. I was downstairs, on the stairs actually. And Jules comes up to me and goes, can you play this part in bass, but play it on the acoustic guitar? I played it and I played it really easy. And then he goes, can you play this song? And I did that. Why are you showing me this, Jules? He goes, do you know Cammy can't really play those? I went, here we go. What's he saying to me? And then he goes, would you be up for going for a wee rehearsal with the band?
Never played bass before?
Never played bass guitar.
What does that say about you or bass players? Either he's got a lot of faith in you or it's just the bass. It'll be fine.
Anybody can play it and anybody can. No, listen, that was the thing. At first, it was like my fingers was just obviously because of the thickness of the strings. I was dipping them in surgical spirits every day. harden up the skin. You could actually, at one point, when we were like touring extensively, you could actually put a cigarette out in my fingers. I wouldn't be able to feel it because the skin was that thick. But anyway, going back to that, and then so I was so shy to do it. I really just didn't want to do it. I was like, I could maybe manage, being in the studio and recording in the studio, but to play in front of an audience, I don't think I could do that.
Had you never done a gig at that point?
No. I just came out of school and then I just went straight into a delicatessen that I worked, an Italian delicatessen. In fact, the week that I left the delicatessen to join the band, the owner of the delicatessen says, Dante, you've done a fantastic job here. We're going to give you £20 wage rise. And I'm like, oh shit, I've got to tell him at the end of the week that I'm leaving. And I felt really bad.
What was the first bass you brought once you've been asked to join?
What bass did I use?
Yeah.
I don't know now. That's a good question, actually.
Would it be one of Cammy's old basses?
It would have been, yeah. I think it was a Black Precision. bass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not as good as the one that I've got behind me here, which is a Music Man Stingray.
Super. Do you miss playing bass? Do you still play it?
I still play it all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I've been doing it in the acoustic shows.
Right.
Which was really fun. But do you know what? It's quite tough as well to do it and sing.
Yes.
But no, I did. I got right into it, Rob. I really loved it. And yeah, I play bass all the time because I'm working on ideas. I enjoy it.
So you're 16 years old joining a signed rock and roll band. On paper, that's kind of like the dream come true. But myself certainly included, lots of musicians suffer from imposter syndrome. Did that ever get to you being dropped into this very unique situation?
No, I was kind of welcomed with open arms and really helped and really guided. That's what I felt. I mean, God, we ended up doing, again, at the age of 16, I was flying club class to, I think it was Cologne in Germany, to do a showcase thing for A&M in Germany. And I'm like, God. But anyway, getting back to the story of being that 16-year-old boy who didn't want to do anything. It took the management team to come to the house because I was reluctant. And they turned around and said, look, he's going to get to see the world. He's going to have a really good time. He's going to get a weekly wage. As soon as I said weekly wage, as soon as I said, my mum was like that. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. And I think I was getting 60, 70 pounds a week or something. And that was a lot of money. Well, it was an average amount of money. We were quite conservative that way. And I think that's why we kind of lasted that bit longer, is because when we did get the amount of money for the record deal and the publishing deal, we didn't just go, right, okay, let's do this, let's blow that. We were kind of really conservative. We just took a wage that just suited us and make it last over a couple of years, 3 years.
It makes you wonder why some bands do blow loads of money, because initially at that time, you're going to be very busy anyway. You don't need all that extra stuff.
I know bands that have just signed a deal and gone and blown it within about a month, and I know that for a fact.
Like, you're going to be on tour in a month, right? We've got a month to blow all this money. It's
gone. And it's just, and you just, how are you going to survive?
Yeah. So the lead single, Better Days, is released, gets a great response, but off the success of that, you get to appear on Top of the Pops in August 1989. Mm-hmm. On that same episode, I believe was Kylie, Transvision Vamp, and Paul McCartney. What do you remember about that?
I don't remember any of it. I don't. But I'll tell you what I do remember is how, God, I was just so gutted about Top of the Pops, because as a kid I watched it. You used to think there was thousands of people there, and it's 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 so busy. I'd just love to do that one day. And then you actually get to do it, and there's 4 run-throughs throughout the day, and then there's a final one. But they just cart people, all 150 people from one stage to the next, and it's it's just, and I think it was just Mark just doing a live vocal. That was it.
When was the last time you watched it?
God, Better Days. Oh no, I probably look really nervous, I think.
Everybody looks so excited, to be honest. You're really going for it.
I know. Or maybe that was at the times, in those days, you did really get off on it. I suppose, yeah, it was such a buzz to do it. And I always remember my mum telling all the family and, my dad, just my dad going into work and telling his pals.
That is a great thing for parents, isn't it? To tell to people up until that point, my son's wasting his time in a rock and roll band. But as soon as you're on Top of the Pops, they're on telly. It's official.
Oh, no, that was hilarious. Did it so many times with not just with Gun, but with the other band, El Presidente as well. We did it that was near the end of Top of the Pops. In fact, I'll tell you exactly when that was. That was 2005 when I had that El Presidente, and my mum and dad had just passed away that year. We must have been one of the last bands to have done Top of the Pops. But I always remember there was a time before that with Gun, we went to our dressing room and standing there is Flea from Chili Peppers, and it's like they've all fucked off. The dressing room's locked and the rest of the guys, I don't know where they are. And we used to just open their dress. Come on, sit with us. And he came and sat with us. And I think we were talking about, it was a movie at the time. He had seen it, but it hadn't came over here yet. But there was such a buzz about it. Silence the Lambs. That's what it was. Silence the Lambs. And I remember he said, because we all knew it was a pretty scary movie, it was quite dark. And I never forget the term he used to describe it. Because so you've seen it? Yeah. It's beautiful. And I was like, it's beautiful. Like,
proper American response to it.
I know. It's beautiful. I don't know, he's studies, no, probably. But that was quite funny. And then that was the time that they wanted to play full band, on stage. And then they just took the piss. So what they did was, like, the drummer would, like, go into the song for about 10, 15 seconds and then just come from behind the drum kit and then start trying to stick these drumsticks up Anthony Kiedis' bum, who was wearing this, like, gown. They were flying about the place. And the Top of the Pops were like that. Get them off. They'll never come back here. And we were watching it. We just couldn't stop laughing. Oh my God, it was so funny.
Dante, just to bring things to a close and also a little full circle. So where are you living now? Is this the old family home?
Yeah, this is the old family home, yeah. I live here as well because my family are kind of close by and stuff like that, so it's always handy for me. But I am a Caltonian, born and bred, and still here.
What are some of the biggest changes in your hometown, and is there anything you particularly miss?
A lot of new flats getting made, and obviously having Celtic Park up the way, it looks amazing. So I've had to think about what do I miss. I suppose you miss, it's these things here that have obviously we advance with the times and stuff like that, but I miss hanging out with my pals and we used to talk rather than, just go to a pub and then sit on your phones.
Are you still in touch with many school friends? Because obviously the band kicked off at 16, so
yeah.
You were kind of away for quite a few years.
Well, see, that's what Backstreet Brothers was about, two of my best pals. And we went on a camping trip just up to Mulgai, which isn't that far from here. And it was the hottest day of the year. I was 16, but I had just joined the band. So we got the bus up and I said, look, guys, I'm getting paid now, so I'm going to buy all the camping equipment. So I bought all this camping equipment. We went up to Mulgai Country Park, whatever it was. Hottest day of the year. They ended up spliffing. I didn't bother with joints. I just liked my beer. And at one point, there was like a wee lake. And I ended up putting my feet in it because it was so hot. And I ended up felt myself sinking like into quicksand, and they're watching me from the top of the hill and they're like that, smoking away, just laughing.
I'm going to die in quicksand. It's like the childhood fear.
That is a lyric. That is a lyric in the song. We ended up trying to get a fire burning later on at night and we couldn't. We ended up burning our socks for some reason. I don't know. I was like setting fire to my socks and it's like we couldn't get anything done. I was like, do you know what? I can't be bothered. I'm not staying here the night. And I'd bought all the wee pots and stuff like that and the wee burner and stuff. Ended up just taking it all and just throwing it in the bin. Got a taxi back into Glasgow and just went clubbing it.
And then a few weeks later, recording an album, going on tour around the world.
yeah, something like that. It's just bizarre. But great days.
Yeah, great to have that all in one song though now, all kind of.
yeah, definitely, Rob. No, definitely.
Brilliant, man. Well, Dante, thanks ever so much for chatting with us. It's been lovely to connect and hear these stories. And it's great that you've got such an attachment to your town and it's all encompassed in this new album.
Yeah, no, listen, thanks. Really nice to chat to you, Rob. And hopefully see you soon at one of the upcoming shows if you're around.
Many thanks to Dante Gizzi of Gun for taking some time to chat here on the Straight to Video podcast. The new Gun album, The Calton Songs, will be available from the 14th of October, but is available to pre-order now on many cool formats over at gunofficial.co.uk. Whilst I've got you on board, I'd love it if you'd help spread the word about this show if you're enjoying listening. Please tell everyone who you think would like this podcast to check out stvpod.com for over 200 episodes, or subscribe and follow on your favourite podcast platform. If you have a couple of minutes to add a review on Apple Podcasts, that also goes a long way to getting new people on board. And finally, if you haven't had a chance, please consider visiting the Straight to Video 80s video shop if you're ever in the Midlands. Our video shop, museum and gift shop is just 10 minutes from junction 28 of the M1 and is open on Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays. Please check out 80s video shop on social media for up-to-date opening times, and we'd love to see you there soon. So that is all for today's show. Hope you've had fun, and thanks as always for listening. Take care and speak soon.